It's going. All right. Welcome to Remix EQ Live, where we're amplifying equity with a mix of information, interviews, and inspiration. I'm your host, Dr. Erica Tate, and I'm here live from Savannah, Georgia, where I live. For those who are joining us today, please drop a greeting of choice. Hello, howdy, hey, 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 in the comments. Let us know where you are joining us from and the equity work that you are doing or you aspire to do. And remember, Remix EQ Live is an experience that's meant to be shared. So I encourage you to hit the share button, invite your people, your network, your family to join us. And while those comments are flowing in and those invitations are flowing out, I want to introduce our two guests, Nita Penn and Gloria Strauthers. Before they introduce themselves, though, I do want to share a little bit about how I know these two service-driven women. And I do this for two reasons. One, it provides context for our interview, how we're connected, and how our lives intersect professionally and personally. And two, it reminds us that we all have people in our network who can inspire us right now, today. So I met Nita through the organization she leads, ACE Women's Business Center here in the Savannah region. You'll learn more about her organization throughout the show. But I am a forever seeker of new learning and resources, especially related to my own entrepreneurial journey. So I'm glad to be part of the ACE family as it's a relatively new resource here in the Savannah region. But I'm excited for its impact in our community with Nita at the helm. And now Gloria and I, we are very new connections. Nita brought us together. Thanks, girl. In the short time that I've gotten to meet her and learn more about Gloria, I am very excited about her entrepreneurial journey and how she's been innovating at the local and national levels and inviting and supporting equity into our entrepreneurial space. In talking with both women, I learned that they had a military service in common. So Nita is former military. She served in the United States Army National Guard in Georgia and New York. And Gloria is an Air Force veteran. And so for those who are getting to know me, you may not know, but I grew up in a military family. So my dad's also an Air Force veteran. My husband is an Army veteran. And my brother is currently overseas serving in the Army. So my appreciation definitely runs deep as I thank you all for your military service. But this show is about your current service, in which I'm even more excited about what you guys are doing in this world to make it a more just place, particularly as it relates to entrepreneurship. So, with that said, I am going to turn it over to Nita to kick off this remix by introducing herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nita Penn, Director for the Access to Capital for Entrepreneurs Women's Business Center located in the Savannah region. I am one of two of the only women's business centers for the state of Georgia. The other is my sister, Women's Business Center located in Metro Atlanta. Our host is located in Atlanta, Access to Capital for Entrepreneurs, Inc. I am a Savannah native, just returned from having working experience in the consulting space, the nonprofit space, the tech space, and in the government space, mostly focused on business development and research. But the ultimate space that I work in is between the space between human-centered design as a user experience designer and researcher, and human capital management as a former human resources specialist and recruiter for the United States Army, warrant officer recruiter, to be specific, for the United States Army National Guard. So I essentially just try to center social and racial equity in all of my work, and just making sure that the most marginalized people are centered and that the bottom line for organizations connects to make sure that they are serving these people well. So that's me as a whole. I'm a twin mom. That's important too. Great. But that's my personal, and that's it.
Thank you so much, Nita. We can't wait to hear more about all that you're doing throughout the show. Now, Gloria, let us learn about you.
Good morning, everyone. And again, Dr. Tate, thanks for inviting me. Well, I want to start by just saying, I'm excited to be here. And I don't really talk a lot about myself, but if I had to just say a few things, one, I'm a management consultant. I'm the founder and CEO of Exodus Management and Consultant. And if you're unfamiliar with management consulting is, we solve problems. So what I do is focus on connecting people with processes where as it relates to system failures or system breakdowns in organizations. I am also a certified John Maxwell leadership coach. So I do speaking, teaching, and other engagements to develop individuals. I'm also a certified human resource professional, so equity is right in my lane. So I utilize all of my experience to produce value for organizations. And so that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Gloria. I'm so excited to have you guys here. And we have some comments. Hello, good morning, Garen from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Oh, and it's the brilliant brilliance. Hey, y'all. She says, joining from Houston, Texas. And her equity focus is community engagement and elevating real narratives. Love that. Love that. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to have you guys here and to join our show. And for those who are just joining us, this is Remix EQ Live, where we are amplifying equity through a mix of information, interviews, and inspiration. And after those fabulous introductions, I know that you are sharing and inviting others to tune in and interact with us. This show offers us an opportunity to connect and build community with each other around the equity work that is being performed throughout the world. And we do this by centering the work. That is, our guests share examples of what they do in their role or position as a way to illustrate to us how they advance equity in the spaces in which they work or live. And so we invite you to do the same in the comments. So I'm going to start with you, Nita. In your role as the director of ACE Women's Business Center, Savannah Region, how do you increase equitable access to capital for Black, Indigenous, and women of color entrepreneurs?
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Tate, for asking that question. I am centering this work by making sure that the programming is focused on financial education. Because when most people hear access to capital, which is the name of the organization, that it means that I am a lender. Right. The host organization is a CDFI, a community development financial institution, with centers making sure that people in the low to moderate income space who would not otherwise have access to capital can have access to capital. However, the women's business centers are the educational arm of ACE, the host organization, and centering women businesses, women entrepreneurs, and for my particular region, centering the most marginalized, which is the matriarchal Black woman household in Savannah. It's making sure that we are putting coaching and connecting to resources at the forefront of that access to capital piece. So it's essentially, when people say trust the process, it isn't about just trusting the process, but understanding what the process is, and me being a guide on, if you will, or a guide in that space between access to capital and getting there. So that could be in the form of programming centered around making sure that people understand what it takes to be eligible for certain loans, how you need to get your business credit separated from your personal credit, your business finances separated from your personal finances, the importance of having it, knowing what your EIN number, your DUNS number, all of those little nuances and things that comes along with the actual operating of a business versus just having a business. And so for centering the equity piece, we do have clients that are veteran clients. We have white clients. We have clients that are men, women, whatever. But we center the programmatic emphasis is on low to moderate income BIPOC women-led businesses. And I have 5 different areas. So it's either they're a new business in the idea phase, meaning I have this great idea, and teaching these women how to not just jump from an idea and try to implement, but to understand the planning process that needs to happen before you implement and before growth. Growth is when you ask for capital. So it's a lot of unlearning, teaching a lot of unlearning about the process too, liaising between the end goal, like banks or whatever, to be like, hey, I have this person that's interested in this. This is where they are. I'm helping them to get there. Please build a relationship with them. Please build rapport with them so that we can get them on the path to get what they need. So it is definitely education, financial education centered. Mindset is the priority, shall I say, before the money even comes into play. So ideation, women in ideation phase, women who are sole proprietors who are using their Social Security, transitioning them to an LLC and eventually S Corp, whatever it is, to make sure that their business ideas can actually be functional businesses, right? Women who are ready to pivot or grow, women who are moms interested, who are in life transitions. I fall in that space. You know what I mean? I'm an entrepreneur myself, but I'm centering this work as a director for the Savannah region. And then finally, those traditional 9-to-5ers that want to stop doing it on the side and shift more of that focus into doing it full time. So just being intentional. That's how I center equity work. Working with people through applications versus just telling them what they need to know, asking them what they need from me and how I can help. So that's how.
Thank you. There are a lot of things there, and I appreciate that. I love it. That's what this show is about, really bringing out all the day-to-day work that really makes equitable outcomes attainable. And so I appreciate your role as an advisor, your guide, and really centering the work on the communities here in Savannah that need it the most, so that they can make change and that they can be a part of the community and drivers for their community. So thank you so much. Gloria, you are the founder and principal of Exodus Management and Consulting. I love saying things like that. The founder and principal consultant of Exodus Management and Consulting. So when you are doing the work of your business, that is providing services as a management consultant, how are you advancing equity in businesses and communities?
Great question, Erica. To kind of make people aware, a management consultant isn't just a title that I bestowed upon myself. I actually position myself to be able to solve problems for individuals as well as organizations. And I've done that by acquiring a multidimensional aspect of myself in the form of credentials. So I leverage those credentials to be able to utilize a systems thinking approach to addressing systems and organizational deficiency, so to speak. So when I develop solutions, they're centered around connecting people and processes in an effort to achieve greater efficiencies and effectiveness in a business. So when you talk about equity, it's often kind of interchangeably used with equality, right? And so the difference between the two is that equality is actually a system, okay? It's a system that allows everyone the same opportunity, which includes the equitable distribution of resources. So what I do is I create value to those different individuals and organizations, focusing on those systems that ensure resource distribution. So whether it's technical assistance, leadership or personal development, business coaching, I attempt to close that knowledge gap in those particular areas. And so within my community, I'm a small business proponent. I actually am a leadership member on the National Small Business Association Council that is based out of Washington, D.C. So I also am a member of my Small Business Development Chamber Committee. I also take all that information, bring it back to the counterparts in Washington. Hey, this is the heartbeat of our small business community. These are the issues that are driving their particular interest in developing and growing their business. So like I said, I focus on systems and I make sure those systems are running appropriately and everyone has a greater leverage when it comes to knowledge and awareness of the resources that are out there.
Oh, no, I love that. Thank you so much. I really just appreciate not only what you're doing in your business and supporting other businesses to create systems in which like that closing that knowledge gap, those resources are distributed in equitable ways, but also that you're advocating on behalf of small businesses nationally to ensure that we're listening, they're listening to the needs of small business owners like us and those out there. So I definitely appreciate that. Thank you so much. Oh, we have a comment of brilliance says, love that. Not just telling folks what they need to know, but also listening to find out what folks need. Yes. So that is like a principle of equity work, right? Asking and making sure that you are providing the needs of communities, the needs of individuals, but you have to ask first and let them tell you what it is and not make assumptions about that. So very much appreciate I love seeing equity principles play out in different fields. This is why I have this show. And so seeing how that plays out in businesses, seeing how that plays out in organizations that support and advocate for businesses is really awesome. So we are moving to our why portion. This is on our show. It's not just about what we're doing. We also like to hear a little bit about why. But I wanted to go back to what Nita was sharing about her target clientele at the ACE Women's Business Center, Savannah Region. I went to an ACE event and I remember her sharing like the different women that she helped. So, the planning and growth stages, the side hustle to full time. But then there was this women in life transitions. And I was like, oh, this is a category because I am a mama of young children who has been like trying to stay in this entrepreneurial game. And I was like, wait, this is like a whole group of people just like me with these challenges. It's not just me like, I just don't understand where the time went. How come my pivot is like a slow swivel? So it's really exciting to have know that is a target of your organization. And so I want to come back to this and ask, why is it important to customize programming for women who have recently transitioned into motherhood? And what do the supports and resources look like for a mama entrepreneur?
Yeah, so a little bit of a little bit of the backstory is so Savannah is I mentioned that earlier, is a matriarchal city. A lot, especially for the population that we're talking about, there is a lot of women who are the head of household, right? And we know, I'm not going to get into the data and the statistics around that, of why, especially for the Savannah region, like I said, I'm from here and grew up in one of the local housing projects, and how, systemic racism was integrated into not allowing the men to be in the home and all that type of thing. And so a lot of that has moved from the next generation to the next generation to the next generation. And so there are so many people who I know from younger and who are still doing it, who are hustling. Meaning my mom was one of those women. My mom was an entrepreneur before I knew what one was, that was selling dinners, that was teaching people how to cook. So that was doing hair at the house, that was, what I mean? Like doing drop-offs, having a little in-home daycare, all those kinds of things. So these are all of these women, mostly Black women, who are hustling. And so for me, centering women who are in life transitions, what I mean is they're moms, they're trying to make money. Most of them also have jobs, full-time jobs or part-time jobs to maintain that, right? Financial stability. So it was so important to me to have those conversations around burnout, managing, trying to keep your finances together, keep your children happy, keep yourself together so you wouldn't be unraveling in front of them and because of them, And so why centering? Let me help you. Let's talk about what you need help with and how we can streamline these processes so that you can have just a better transition into legitimizing this business, so you can have access to capital. Because that's the thing. Access to capital, especially in the traditional sense, will not come. It doesn't matter that you've been doing hair or selling dinners for 20 years. If you don't have an EIN, if you haven't paid taxes, if you don't legitimize it, you will never be able to transition, if you will, to that next phase of having this dream of having a brick and mortar, or being able to, hire people, to help you, to have a shop, to have braiders. And so it's that education piece to go, hey, I know it's tough. I know it's rough. Let's streamline this process so that you can do the hard work now, so that later you can pass down the generational, not just the wealth in the form of money, but in the form of knowledge to your children, and how they can build for themselves better. So that's why it was so important for me to center women, moms, and life transitions, because having a little bit more help in that realm from the outside sources and the coaching is important, but also coupling that from an ally standpoint, the men in our lives. I did forums and workshops on managing burnout as a mom entrepreneur, and then also male allyship. How can men be more supportive to women who are entrepreneurs, the women in their lives, right? How can you actually be a better advocate for women? How can you take the load off in the household as a brother, as an uncle, as a husband, as a partner, as the co-parent? So that, because from an equitable lens, women have way more of the burden from societal stance of things. How can you be a little bit more helpful? So those are the types of conversations in the form of forums that we run through the Women's Business Center, and then take that information, always gathering information, and implementing it back into programming through workshops and continuing education on the financial education piece. So that's why it's important. Because it's a struggle.
I love it. I love how you address generations two ways. So really thinking about like systemic racism and how that has affected us generations, and why it is hard to get access to capital, because we don't have the things that we should have had or could have had if those systems weren't in place. But also that in legitimizing your business, in getting capital so that you can grow your business, you can set up assets, both knowledge, right, and your business to pass on to those generations later. So I appreciate that point. And I also am like, yes, helping men help women. I can always get behind that. So no, I think that's great. I love that idea of an allyship forum and having that type of education. So thank you. That seems very unique and innovative. That's why you're here. Gloria, so I was excited to learn that you are a SCORE mentor here in the Savannah area, which is wonderful. And my soul, which is really important to me, just smiles so much because of that. I've had a SCORE mentor since I started my business for 10 years, and still connect with him. And it was so important in helping, like, with the business plan, understanding financials, thinking about how to stay viable when changes happen, both business and personal. But yeah, I thought, oh my gosh, Gloria is a SCORE mentor. And then I met her and I was like, oh, Gloria is a SCORE mentor. Yay for her mentees. But before you were a SCORE mentor, you were a SCORE mentee. And so I'd love for you to share with us, like, why you sought out this mentorship in your entrepreneurial journey, and then tell us how you leveraged your SCORE mentorship in your current business.
Great question. For those who are unaware of what SCORE is the actual national resource partner of the Small Business Association. And so you have individuals who volunteer their expertise, their time, their knowledge in various industries to help aspiring entrepreneurs develop, grow their business. SCORE is also, the go-to resource for workshops, for on-demand courses. So I invite anyone who not necessarily have a SCORE, community in their area to go on their website, score.org, to get more information. But to answer your question, Erica, in 2016, I found myself, on my own entrepreneur journey. I started Exodus after I retired, and I had no idea how to materialize it. I knew I had all of this stuff in me that I needed to get out. And so, just like many of the individuals who started their business, I had that hustling mindset. If I could just get out there more, people to come, if I just do this, if I show up here. And so I was all over the place. And so that is when I linked up with SCORE. And I want to say it was due a workshop they were doing. And so I just attended, the workshop. And at that particular time, I was invited to become a certified SCORE mentor based on my own expertise and experience that I had. So as a result, I developed an entrepreneur's mindset, and I got out of the hustling mentality. So I became a SCORE mentor, and I began leveraging those relationships, building bridges to address, underserved populations such as our veterans, our women, persons with disabilities, and minorities, because I wanted to ensure, hey, I had someone come alongside me, and you guys deserve the same opportunity. So as a result, I began leveraging my SCORE relationship to develop a relationship with the Business Innovation Group here in Statesboro. And if you are unfamiliar with the Business Innovation Group, they're a business incubation center, and they are based out of Georgia Southern University. So I began mentoring their clients, right? So the BIG actually provides resource for their communities, for their students, and for their clients, in an effort to gain skills and training necessary to understand business principles, right? And so I began building that relationship. So eventually they brought me back in to create an online business development system. So write this down if you're taking notes off this shore. Products will always make you money, but systems will make you a fortune. So Remember, I told you, I look at systems. So I created a system specifically for entrepreneurs who are in that startup phase, that growth phase. I'm coming from working from home phase. I want to be in a business environment. You have that at your fingertips now. You can download our app as well, or you can come in. We offer office spaces as well. So if you're in a Savannah region and you want to, hey, I want to learn more about this technology that Gloria has developed for us. It's to give you a structured approach to business development. I can't tell you how many times I have entrepreneurs come in, well, I Google this and this website says this. We've centralized all the latest pertinent information specifically from our resource partners, people like SCORE, the small business development. We have information on growing your credit. We even have ACE, Women's Development Center, as a resource partner as well. So we're all interconnected in our community, making sure that our entrepreneurs, one, that they're successful. So that is how I leverage being a SCORE mentor as well as serving my community.
I love all the things. I love Gloria's like story from hustler to entrepreneur to tech innovator. I'm trying to stay seated. Oh, no, that's super exciting. I love that. Oh my goodness. And I also appreciate like the development of technology for helping others learn about developing their business, but also this supporting equity in that space. And so that just makes me really excited. So we had a couple of comments. Dr. Raina Kubage says that this is relatable. Yes, these women are so relatable. I mean, they're just breaking it down. It's like you too can be an entrepreneur if you haven't already. Just follow their advice. And I think we had another comment too from Sandra Font. Hello, she's supporting the Women's Business Center in Savannah. Oh, her sister
Sandra.
business. Oh, I wonder where you are.
Metro Atlanta. That's my senior director.
We're just everybody's so connected. And it says, wait, she said, go Nita. I felt like it was like 2 exclamations, so I really have to like, do that. All right, so we are coming to a close, but we have one more thing I want to talk with you guys about, because throughout your conversations, you highlight different partnerships as being part of your approaches to increasing equitable access or closing the knowledge gap for entrepreneurs and communities that have been underserved. And so I just like to close out our show with a discussion of the impact of partnerships on your work. And so Nita, why do you seek partnerships in your mission to increase equitable access to capital for Black, Indigenous, and women of color?
The reality is that at the end of the day, there's really no self-made entrepreneur, no self-made anybody. We all need help, right? And so with that, it just comes down to like, before even creating partnerships, my initial goal when we opened the center was to break down silos. Because especially in the Savannah region, there are a lot of silos. People are like, well, I'm doing this. Well, I'm doing this. Well, I'm doing this. And it's like, hey, if the target audience, the focused people, the people that we're supposed to be focusing on need all of us, we need to figure out how to share those resources, collaborate more so that we can actually do what we're setting out to do, which is make sure that they have what they need to be successful, which is going to ultimately positively impact the economical landscape of the region, right? Of the community, of the world as a whole, right? So for me, that's connecting with Business Innovation Group at Georgia Southern to run my cohort this weekend that I'm doing for the Women-Owned Small Business Certification cohort, right? And that's having conversations with SCORE mentors around, hey, tell me about this relationship you have with this client. Where are they as far as like on the strategy side? What resources do I need to get them to connected with so that y'all can have better sessions, so that you can actually get through the tough points to get them what they need? Hey, Small Business Assistance Corporation, how can we get to a yes? I've done workshops with the SBAC on how to get a yes with the Small Business Assistance Corporation. What are they missing? Let's talk about that with them so that we can get to that yes. Hey, VBOC, what's up? Dr. Kelly, what's up, Tim? Hi, people from VBOC, the Veteran Business Outreach Center. How can we make sure that veterans are having better transitions out of the military, or how the people who are still in or in the Guard, how can they manage those entrepreneurial goal endeavors that they have goal with their military career, right? And so At the bottom, at the center of that, a lot of us are connected with the Small Business Administration. That's our grant holder, right? For ACE, Women's Business Center. It is so important to just be more intentional, more focused on making sure that we're centering the people that we are trying to serve versus centering the accolades that we're seeking to gain from serving them. So that's how
I love it. All right. And then Gloria, why do you invest time and energy building partnerships? And I feel like, from a management consultant perspective, like, what is the return on investment for you and the communities you serve?
One thing I want to start off is by saying, my mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell, says leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. And so those that are actually closest to us will determine our potential as a leader, as a community person, as a business. So the core of who I am is all about people. And so I genuinely want people to win. Because when I started in life, I didn't have a good start. I was a teen mom. I was going through all kinds of cycles. So I had to start leveraging relationships to get me to various levels. And so the return on investment on leveraging relationships can help you grow as an individual, as a business, and allows you to gain access to new markets and new customers. And so who you surround yourself with, your inner circle, your partnerships, whatever that looks like, they should be people who have your best interests at heart. They want to see you succeed, and they want to also hold you accountable. And so our strengths as business leaders comes only in part from who we surround ourselves with. So that is the return on the investment for strategic partnerships and building communities that you serve.
Seek sound counsel, yes. In all ways.
Oh, yes. I love it. I feel like you just bring it, we come full circle as you guys work in the community. You are supporting small businesses so that you can be a resource for them, so that you can guide them so that they can better serve the community. And you do this because you love them, right? You do this because you want to see them make a change and to change our communities. So I love that. And I thank you so much for sharing. Sandra Font is back and she's like, great job, ladies. I don't know why I have to yell it, but I do. Keep empowering women business owners in the Savannah region. Yes, please keep doing it. Keep supporting them. It is so much appreciated. And so we are closing out the show. I want to thank you, Nita Penn. Thank you, Gloria Strauthers, for joining me today on our show. I appreciate all the knowledge and inspiration that you dropped, and I know others do too. You are welcome back anytime. You can come back together. I'll remix you with somebody else. You're coming back. Okay. You're coming back to chair. So I am so glad. I will be back on April 8th with another interview show. It will be focused on philanthropy. So we'll have Tes Merlina Atsbeha and Dr. Angela DeBarger, who are program officers, and they are going to talk about how their role as a program officer in philanthropy helps to move the needle on equity, both nationally and globally. So please watch your feed, check your inbox so you have all the details that you need to tune into the next show. And anytime in between, please visit our Remix EQ Live page. You can view past episodes. You can learn about our fabulous guests even more than you already did today. And you can also get information on upcoming shows. And while you're there, please poke around and learn a little bit more about my business, Blue Knowledge, which advances equity in schools and communities. You can also follow our Blue Knowledge and Louisville Learning page on LinkedIn. And of course, I invite you to connect with me too. Thank you again, my guest, Nita Penn, Gloria Strauthers. Thank you, Dr. Raina Cabbage, for coming to our amazing show that they made. We appreciate your interactions and your comments throughout the show. I'm so excited about the engagement. I'm your host, Dr. Erica Tate, and this is Remix EQ Live. We'll see you next time.